legs.
Oh.
Oh. And this is the finisher. Bam!
Right on the ear.
On the money after you go.
From debuting as a replacement UFC fighter to being next in line for the featherweight title fight. This is why UFC fighters are actually scared of Ilia Topuria. Since debuting in the UFC back in October 2020, Topuria has already become a massive problem for the organization, and Dana White is already planning to bring the UFC to Spain for the first time ever, all because of Topuria's takeover.
Ilia Topuria, we didn't see you at UFC Jacksonville. What did you think of his last performance, and how close is he to a title at featherweight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, every Tuesday we talk a lot about him now.
Topuria has already had 6 fights in the UFC since his debut, to which he has won all of them not by just a little, but has knocked out 3 of his opponents, submitted 1, and won 2 by unanimous decision. And it's not only fighters inside the octagon who should be scared of Topuria, because back in January 2023, a video surfaced showing a man shoving Topuria at a local bar in Spain before Topuria was quick to teach the guy a lesson after he continued to antagonize him. And even Paddy Pimblett got into an altercation with Topuria after Paddy made disrespectful comments about Topuria's home country of Georgia, where he tweeted back in 2021, "Lad, how stupid are these Georgians, man? No wonder the Russians terrorize their lives." Topuria saw the comment as disrespectful because during the 2008 war between Georgia and Russia, many innocent people and children died. The two ended up running into each other at a hotel soon after, where Paddy allegedly tried to shake Topuria's hand, but Topuria wasn't having any of it, and instead threw a bottle at his face before Paddy threw it back, and they began swinging. So anyway, she became the first Jiu-Jitsu black belt in his home country of Georgia. However, he quickly made it clear that he is not just an elite level wrestler, but also has some insane punching power. Because at UFC 264 back in July 2021, Topuria faced Ryan Hall, and let's just say that he was quick to turn Hall into a ragdoll. Because after losing his balance after a failed leg kick, Topuria was quick to jump on Hall and unleash some deadly ground and pound before ending Hall to knockout in just the first round of the fight. And well, this wasn't a one-off for Topuria, because at his next fight at UFC Fight Night in March 2022, he faced Jai Herbert, where he once again displayed his ridiculous striking power. And at the beginning of the second round, Topuria unleashed a powerful combination which ended in a massive right hook that dropped Herbert like a dead fly. So after already winning 5 in a row since his UFC debut, Topuria had both his first headliner event and facing of a top 10 opponent, which was against Josh Emmett at UFC Fight Night in June 2023, which, to say the least, he made the fight look like a walk in the park, because Topuria completely dominated Emmett 5 rounds straight and won the fight not just by unanimous decision, but one referee even scored the fight a ridiculous 42-50. Even UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier has vouched for Topuria to get the next title fight against Volkanovski, who once simultaneously owned 2 UFC belts, both in the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions, being the second person to ever do so, and he also had one of the most notorious rivalries in UFC history against arguably the UFC GOAT, John Jones.
Topuria didn't just win. He dominated in every... Megan, 50-42. I don't think I've ever heard that scorecard in my life.
He even said that, "I'm okay with him going right into a title fight. I think that he is ready." This kid showed conditioning over 25 minutes. He showed an ability to compete anywhere.
Do you think Ilia would probably be the most realistic opponent for you next, considering Justin Gaethje seems to be under the impression that he's going to be fighting for the lightweight title next?
Yeah, most likely. And again, I want to be active anyway.
Right. And after his recent win at UFC 290, Volk and Topuria went face to face, where they made it very clear that they were ready to fight.
You wait till you see what happens, eh? You might be undefeated, but I'm coming for that 0.
I see myself knock him out. Maybe
I know who I am every time I look myself in the mirror, and I know that I can crush his small head.
So anyway, the fight between Topuria and Volkanovski has been confirmed, and they will be facing off with the featherweight belt on the line at UFC 298 in February 2024. Dana White has now even considered bringing the UFC to Spain for the first time ever, all because of what Topuria has done for the country.
Ilia Topuria, we didn't see you at UFC Jacksonville. What did you think was his last performance, and how close is he to a title at featherweight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, every Tuesday we talk a lot about him now. And I had never considered or thought about going to Spain. Now I have the team working on Spain.
And if Topuria is successful in taking the featherweight belt from Volkanovski, there's no question that UFC Spain will happen in the near future. Speaking of Spain, Topuria fights out of Spain, however had began practicing wrestling in his home country of Georgia before moving to Spain at the age of 15, where he began learning martial arts. By the time he turned 18, he had made his professional debut in local competitions, and by the age of 21, earned himself a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, making him the first ever Georgian to receive a black belt of that kind, along with his brother Alex. In fact, Topuria was extremely well known for his wrestling skills at the time, and had 4 straight submission wins in the Spanish regional scene as a professional fighter. After showing complete dominance in the Brave Combat Federation promotion, Topuria was first invited to the UFC, and well, as we already know, he's continued to completely dominate the scene since, winning all 6 of his UFC fights, and is now ranked 5 in the featherweight class, preparing for his upcoming fight against the featherweight champion Alex Volkanovski. And if anyone's going to take out Volkanovski in the featherweight division, it's gonna be Topuria, but I guess we'll find out very soon. If you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and check out another one here.